If someone would have told you that in 3 years he changed pretty much every single part of the bike, would that mean that the bike is bad, the rider is bad, the mechanic is doing wrong job, or what that would signify? In 3 years I changed pretty much every single piece of Scotspark RC Pro. Some were out of necessity, others were in order to simplify my life a bit, while some was out of curiosity or the need to find that the best fit you could possibly have on the bike. Not to mention the parts which for whatever reason broken down on me. This video is going to cover all the remaining unknowns about Scotspark RC since 2022. As the new season just kicked in, I will cover what modifications been done on the bike from its original standpoint from the factory. At the same time, we will get a sense what bike I'm riding in Costa Blanca bike race. It will be a wrap from this model, well, unless something unexpected comes in a way, which will have to be covered in a separate video. With that being said, we can begin from the front, where like 2 months after the original usage, I changed the 9 centimeters, or it was 10. No, it was 9 centimeters minus 10 degrees. I changed it to 10 centimeters minus 20. Initially, I was just crunched on the bike too much. My height is 185 more or so, and it's L size. So with that being said, I'm on the edge between XL and L, and definitely I don't want XL because it would be 5-6 centimeters longer in the base, and I'm not that tall to ride that. My upper body is just a bit bigger, so for that reason I was crunched on the bike, and minus 20 degrees, 10 centimeters did the favor real well. That affected the handling a bit. While the clamps, it was great on the single tracks and descents, I would say not that much. So for that reason, I tried minus 30 with 9 centimeters in order to slightly close myself towards the center of the headset. Was it a good decision in the handling perspective? Maybe. On climbing, I didn't felt any difference, but the problem here is that once I came to Spain, I had issues with the fork. It was fully serviced, and I don't know, something potentially being done not right, so it's hard to justify whether that difference on feeling came from the handlebars, the fork itself, which is Stepcast 34 from Fox, different than original, or the inserts which I started using. So I'm not exactly yet sure, but once I come back to my home trails, etc., I will do some more testing and then I will know. My guess is that I would benefit by adding one more spacer. So here I have 2 centimeters one installed, and I would like to have it slightly upper, like ½ centimeter. I tried to do that. Here was cut exactly like I needed. Can't tighten those bolts because the top bolt is no longer pushing to the steerer. So it's complicated. But at some point probably I will still be able to cover that topic for you. One of the biggest advantages which I see in IC, Fraser, Cockpit is that you can make a navigation device in front of you. Well, yes, if you crash it's a bit more pronounced to failures, but I just can't imagine how people can watch at the device when it's here. You are riding and you have to look down if you want to especially see map navigation. Personally, I couldn't stand it. I'm more exposed to the risk of damaging the device, yes, with it being in front, but at the same time, that kind of saves me from crashing while looking down under my stem. So that's my preference of Fraser, and it's worth noting that you need longer version in order to fit Garmin 1040. So if you are buying from Key Edge, make sure to buy with long cage, and also because sometimes I'm recording with a GoPro underneath that mount, I have a GoPro mount as well. So it's very beneficial to find the mount which has that option to apply the GoPro, because if you are in UCI races, well, basically it's not allowed to go just you. And you have kind of 3 options under the stem, somewhere on the handlebars, which looks bad in my opinion because the angle is not straight, and the last option is, well, last 2 under the saddle or on the seat post, on the dropper in this case. but I prefer the view in front rather than at the back, so that's my preference. Grips, once I start using SE, I can't see any good reason to use anything else. However, here are chunky ones. I was not able to find XC version, which I love here in Spain. XC version I like more because it's ergonomic and it has cutouts in the center for your palm, so it's just more comfy that way, at least for me. Shifter, Shimano XTR as well as the Drivetrain. Yes, I'm the dinosaur who runs XTR still. Reason being, I'm completely fine with XTRs and I don't want to switch to SRAM. And because they work the way I want, I love that feeling of mechanical shifting. That's just my preference and that's pretty much it. Maybe it will change at some point, I can't say for certain, but at least for now, I don't see a good reason to invest on something which I don't like, just for the sake of being like everyone else. So that's my take on the topic. The brakes, I changed them to 4-pot brakes. I have a separate video about that as well. And what I can say, I just love it. 4 pots compared to 2 pots XTR brakes are like day and night. I don't know, maybe it's also the reason why I'm slower sometimes, because I brake too much. Because XTR 4 pots always works, maybe that slows me down as well, because on 2 pots it's a different story, and once they start fading out, you have no other option as to just go faster. So 4 pots, amazing for me. I don't know whether you need them or not, but I'm running them fins and with metallic brake pads if I'm somewhere out in the mountains. But again, I just love braking power. Last thing on the cockpit, Twinlock. It's actually my third Twinlock. First, I broke and the warranty didn't want it to change it. Second one was fine, but I wanted to put it on my hardtails. For that reason, I put new one here. Our will go to the hardtail. I have no complaints about Twinlock itself. Well, maybe you have to service it from time to time, just to make sure that no bolts are loose, clean it a bit if you come from very dirty muddy race, and that's pretty much it. With a fork, it's love and hate situation. Original bike comes with RockShox Sit Select Plus and it was fine. However, lockout tend to work or either don't work based on the, I don't know, reasons. It had to be bleeded, also something in the damper was changed. I can't say whether it was good or bad, but once I switched to Fox, which happened after 17,000, it was like day and night. Every small obstacle was swallowed by probably low speed compression option, which is at the top of the damper. So yeah, if you are just starting with Fox 34, make sure to set it towards firm. So it's written firmer. So you just turn everything backwards from firm and then turn 4 to 5 as a starting point to see whether I like it or not. Currently I have 2 tokens here inside. I can't say that I'm a fan of 2 tokens. Most likely 1 was enough for my type of riding. Potentially I might remove it in the future. We started the cockpit, but we almost covered everything. I run absolute black chainring oval 32 most often during the season if I'm going into mountains. Whether it slows me down or it gives me some confidence on technical terrain, I am not exactly sure. Personally, I love the feeling of it, but maybe it's time for me to try 34 casual round 1, because 32 round 1 is just too small for me. 34 might be the thing to try in the future, just to see whether technical climbing can be also achieved on 34 as good as on 32 oval. In my channel there are a lot of videos where I explain how to do the service of pretty much every joint on the bike. If you're interested, you can check it out. If you already know or not yet, basically those bearings on the swing arm are the most problematic. They start to seize the most often out of whole suspension, so you just have to make sure to change them at the right time. If you fail to do that, or if you fail to press in the bearings correctly, like most likely I did at some point, you will have some play where the bearing inserts. And that's how I changed the swing arm after, I don't know, 20k or something like that. Technically I could have ridden it even further, but I just want rigid no knocking sounds, etc. suspension, so that's why I made that choice. I bought that swing arm from Westbrook Cycles, and you can find our video in the channel as well. Cranks and the pedals on the bike are XTRs as well. Worth noting, with stages which are already out of business, so power meters here are dual-sided stages. I can't tell you for certain whether they're legit or not, so maybe in the future I will change them to something else. Talking about something else, the dropper is with Kashima 2023 model here. The difference between 2022 and onboard models of Transfer SL dropper is that there is different internal mechanism for the rod, and pretty much it's the reason why, well, in 2022 it has additional slag going on. Also there is like knocking sound which comes from the dropper, so in 2023 and onwards it was updated. It has less of that play, but with 2023 model here I have pretty much no issues at all. To be honest, it has not been serviced yet and it has a bit of play already, so I'm going to do that once I come back home. It's worth noting that you can't actually do it without special tools. I bought those tools because I already have 3 of those droppers, 2 on my bike and 1 on the wife's. I just wanted to explore how it's done, and I think that knowing how it works adds a bit of knowledge, and in general I just love exploring those things. The saddle is from Pro. I don't know, I kind of like them. They are lightweight, they have still a lot of cushion. In the past I had Stealth as well, but the bond which goes at the rear rails cracked, and then it started to excessively bend in the center, so it's pretty much the problem which I experienced on 2 of Pro saddles. That means that they are prone to have those issues. Remaining things are the wheels. Obviously I changed them into some sort of carbon. It's XRC 1501 from DT Swiss, and it's Dukes in front. When I came to Casablanca Bike Race, I added inserts at the front and the rear. It's Vittoria's airliners. Did I like them or not? Well, maybe they saved my rims, I don't know, but last year I smashed 2 Dukes and I didn't want it to experience that once again. However, in front I removed it. I went for some rides and I improved segment times, even without maybe pushing that much. So it gives me some thought to consider whether it's good or not. Maybe I was running too high pressure, but if 1 bar is too high for 30 internal, 2.4 tire, 82 kilograms guy, then I'm not exactly sure. I don't know. Duke's rims are great, they are lightweight, but they are prone to cracks. Well, technically any rim can crack, so it's just probably the amount of luck you have, and it can either be on your side or not necessarily. Last thing about the tire selection. In Casablanca Bike Race, basically in any hard-packed race, I go with XCRC Pro Walls 2.4. Maybe on the front it's not the best option, but it's also worth considering that if you go to stage racing and it's raining a lot, like it's happening currently and it happened before stage 3 and stage 4, maybe it would be beneficial to have some sort of different tires just to have them in case if rain occurs. Honestly, I don't know whether in this terrain where the rocks become slippery like ice, any type of tire would help you, but I can assure you that with those I had really hard times on the descending when it was wet. Other than that, they are perfect tires for the job. However, I'm not exactly sure why the wear on the sidewalls happens. If you know, let me know in the comments. That's pretty much a setup I'm riding now, and I use Elite bottle cages. It's L size, so you can see that smaller bottle can fit easily without any needs to have like some sort of side insert cages. So for that reason, I mean, I don't see any issues using those. They are good. Those are Elite Rocco carbon ones. I mean, I never lost the bottle unless it was incorrectly inserted by me, like dropping it off. So that's the only way how I managed to lose the bottles in the past. And talking about the bottles, it's very nice to have support during the race. The reason why I mentioned this is that this bottle has H2O, which Nicky marked it as water. The reason why he did that is that he had multiple bottles to give for ours as well. So yeah, this is personal touch from Nicky. While honestly I'm not racing for the top positions, it's very nice that people spend their time to help others. So thanks a lot for those who helped me during a Costa Blanca bike race. Neringa, Nicky, Pete, you are amazing, and I hope that in the future I could go for better performance on my own as well. And one thing to point out here is that technically you can also add the big bottle here. The only issue is that it's like really squeezed, but if you need to, in the L size you can still do it. Extra large, probably you could fit it easily here without any issues. And if you have an S size, too bad for you, because you don't have the second bottle cage at all. Now, that being said, in 2024 I had almost 10k of kilometers on this bike, and basically I haven't noticed any terminal issues which you would have to be informed about. But if you want to check the notices and insights from my previous years of riding, there are separate videos about this after 3, 7 and 13,000 of kilometers on the bike. Majority of those videos were with various notices, takes, etc. and also how to make sure that you don't mess things up. With that being said, it's RC Pro 2022 model, 24k plus kilometers on this bike, and it still does the job. How long it's going to do it? Only time can tell. One thing I forgot. I had ceramic speed bearings in the headset, and I no longer have them. Well, I have them in the box. So I will cover that in the future in order for you to avoid those mistakes as well. So things happen.